Okay everyone, welcome back to another week of daily racing on GT Sport, and we have the new races for you in today's video. So starting up, we have the main feature race, driving in Group 3 GT3 cars, otherwise known on other games, at Fuji. This is an interesting race. We've got 12 laps, soft and medium tyres are required in the race as we predicted. And yeah, we're going to start this race with the Beetle. We tested this out last night, and the Beetle was pretty solid. Now, there is so many cars you can use at this combination. Porsche, Beetle, Viper, Vantage should be alright, Corvette. The list is quite endless. There's the RCZ. There is so many cars that you can use for this combination, so feel free to experiment if you want. But I quite like the Beetle, the RCZ, and also the Corvette was very good as well. So we're going to probably be mixing around with them cars till we find our sweet spot. So starting the race, we're starting on the medium tyres because we're starting from P17 in this race. So we're on the medium tyres. We've got the brake bias to the rear. We're going to give them tyres a little bit of a warm-up because medium tyres are going to be very cold. Now, be careful because I actually braked reasonably early here, but just look how bad the brakes were at the start of the race. We actually hit the Porsche, so big sorry to the Porsche. I actually lifted a little bit there just to make sure that he got back in front of us and kept that P16, and we also ended up losing P17 also there. So we dropped down to P18, my mistake there, just braked too late with the slipstream, and obviously not thinking that we'd have to brake as early because we're not carrying the same speed as if we had come out the final corner flat out. So I was quite surprised how poor the brakes were, especially for the Beetle, which is such a good car. But the RCZ lets us back through there. I think he just decided to not fight us and let us through, and now we're back up to P17. And we've got the Porsche that we just nearly destroyed, but luckily he kept it on the track. So thankfully, not really lost that much time. They maybe lost 2 tenths. We have a little look up the inside, but we're not going to go for that move. However, he brakes a little bit late. He actually nudges the GTR, and behind us there, the Jaguar just lunges into the RCZ. Actually, a little bit of contact there behind us, I think, as he sent it a little bit aggressively. But we're now behind the Porsche, and we have a massive drift moment there coming off the curb. So yeah, we jumped onto this race with just first race of the day, so we were a little bit rusty on the first few laps. Took me a little bit of time to get back used to the Beetle, and we have a car going wide there, and a really strange line the Porsche took through there on the inside. Maybe he thought I was going to send it up the inside, but yeah, that was a bit of a strange one. He actually gave away the slipstream to the cars in front and didn't really need to do that. So yeah, we lose the slipstream. We're going to go defensive now over to the right hand side of the track just to make sure that no cars have got the inside line into the tight right hand corner. And the Beetle's very strong on the brakes, so bear that in mind. You can brake so late on this Beetle. So we're on the brakes nice and late. We managed to slow the car down just in time for the apex, hitting that pretty much perfect. And we take that position and nearly losing control of the car on the curb. You have to be very careful on that exit curb there. So up to P15 now. And now we're going to start seeing if we can get a bit of a rhythm going. We actually got hit into the braking zone, I think, slightly there by the Jaguar behind us, but just about survived it. Following through this long right-hand corner. This is the corner that absolutely destroys your front left-hand tyre. So if you can, when you're on the soft tyres, try and be a little bit more cautious through that corner. Try and save a bit of that front left by being a bit more gentle on the throttle through there. But now working our way up into the next braking zone. You can see we've got quite a solid gap to the Jaguar behind us. We've got just under 3 tenths gap, so into the braking zone. He goes for a bit of a send and just nudges us out the way slightly there. We decide to give him not so much space, just enough to get his car through on the exit there. He makes it through, but he loses control on the curb there. But yeah, I think that was fair. We gave him enough space to get through the exit. It was a bit of an aggressive dive by him, but yeah, we're all through. But look at this chaos in front of us. There is cars everywhere. This race is going to be brilliant this week. I cannot wait to be streaming this race. It's going to be so entertaining. We're going to probably do a lot of racing on our main account and get some really good racing at the front of the grid, because I think this is going to be quite competitive at the front of the grid. So hopefully a lot of drivers are going to be on. We need to set a decent lap time. Haven't been on to set a time trial time yet, but I will do that. So following our way down the main straight now behind P14, that GTR, there's no way we can go for a move here. However, we're going to get helped out. Just watch the GTR brakes a little bit too late, and just watch the Porsche gets kind of lag punted straight into the back of him, and that is the perfect takedown. Not deliberate, but it takes them all out, and we then go up to P11 because the RCZ also gets affected by the exit speed there. And yeah, that's 4 cars, or 3 or 4 cars just wiped out the race in one corner. So yeah, unfortunate. I don't think the GTR did it on purpose. It did seem like a mistake or a bit of a lag punt, because it didn't seem like there was actual connection. But yeah, that Porsche got absolutely sent to the Shadow Realm. We take another position there, Up the inside, bit of an optimistic dive. It was quite fair though. We kept it space on the exit there, and we're up to P10 there. So nice move to put ourselves up into the top 10. And now we've got to see if we can catch up to P9. So we're on lap 3. Now, strategy-wise, with the Beetle, we're starting on the medium tyres. So I do know that we can probably do 7 laps on the soft tyres. Now, I have to be honest, 7 laps on the soft tyres at this combination is quite aggressive. Like, the tyre wear times 7 for racing soft tyres, it is quite strong. This track does actually kill tyres. Fuji is known for it. It's a tyre killer. So if you're not confident at doing that, the 6-6 divide is the way to go. If I was starting on soft tyres, I would do 6-6 divide, unless a car behind me could possibly go for an undercut. You have to bear that in mind also. So it's quite a nice little strategy race this, as we skip to the end of lap 4. And what we notice here is P10 behind us, 1.3 seconds behind us. Have a little look in the mirror, and you'll see he dives off into the pit lane. You can see him on the left as well, his name. He's going to go from the mediums onto the soft tyre. So he's on the mediums. He's going to get a massive undercut on us also, because we've got worn medium tyres on. So we need to make sure this lap is a really solid lap. Now, it's going to be very difficult, but we should just be able to make it out pretty much level into the braking zone. We do not want to get stuck behind him, because he's going to have worse tyres than us. So yeah, we try and do a nice smooth lap. This lap actually driving pretty well. You can see keeping it nice and smooth in the braking zones, not making any mistakes. P8 runs a little bit wide there. We're going to start getting the slipstream off him slightly here, and you can see we've actually caught up to P8. And then as we go up to the pit stop now, so this is just a reminder to everyone, you can go flat out into this pit lane. I wasn't aware of him braking. I just realised at the last minute he had braked for the entry into the pits. So we had to cut the corner. Luckily, we didn't get a corner cut penalty. But yeah, I wasn't even looking at him. I was looking on the track map to see where Baracus was and see where we might come out. And just seen him last second that he had braked into the entry of the pit. Luckily, we both got through there. You can see he's just behind us there. But we did gain a position from it. But yeah, you don't need to brake on GT Sport. I understand if you were playing a game like iRacing, yeah, you have to brake. But GT Sport, flat out into them pit lanes, people. You don't need to slow down. So now, working our way onto the first outlap on these tyres, and we're going to go through a track guide, braking just before the 100 board, in between the 150 and 100 board, pretty much dead in the middle there when you're on the softs. If you're in a slipstream, 150 board, because you do need to brake a lot earlier when you're following someone in the slipstream, so bear that in mind. Now, into this really fast left-hand corner, again, braking just in between the 100 and the 50 board, probably a little bit closer to the 100 board. Now, it's not going to be an aggressive amount of braking, it's just a little tap on the brakes and then trail brake, come off the brakes, get that apex hit, and then flat out into 4th gear. Now, through here, do not hit the brakes. What I do is, we're slow motioning it down, and we just come off the throttle. Just every now and then, just put a bit of 50% throttle in. You can see we're not going to go over 50% throttle though, because what we're trying to do is get that right hand tire to clip the white line on the right side. We've kind of missed that slightly there, but not too bad. Into the next braking zone, pretty much as soon as you got the car straightened up, we're going to swing it over to the right side, onto the brakes, braking well before that 50 board, down to 2nd gear, clip the apex, early upshift into 3rd there, use all the track on the exit, maybe a bit too much there, maybe lost a bit of time there, but not too bad so far. A few little errors on this lap, but nothing massive. Now into the next braking zone, we're going to use that Dunlop board above us there. That is a perfect braking reference. If you're braking when in a slipstream, maybe brake slightly before that, but you can see we brake dead on it there, hitting the brakes, and now you want to be aggressive on the brakes here, and then trail brake and try and square the car off into the apex so that you can actually get on the throttle for the second part of the corner, because it's so important to get a good exit off this corner. And then upshift to 3rd gear, and then as we come close to the curb on the left hand side, we're going to get on the brake nice and early to get the rotation on the car. We're not going to be aggressive on the brake, it's just a tiny bit of braking input, skimming the curb on the right, power out of the corner, miss the apex slightly there, maybe lost a 10th or so, and then use the end of the curb as your latest braking reference. I brake just short of the end of the curb on the left there, but you can actually brake right up to the end, and then powering your way through these corners up into the next braking zone, where I do this more of a visual guidance, just making sure we brake nice and early. I try and brake earlier rather than late, because you can take a nice narrow line through it, and whenever I'm doing time trial, I always find the narrow line through that corner is faster overall than the wide line. So maybe if you're going for a qualifying lap, you'd go for that wide line and then cut back, but in the race I find the tighter line tends to work out better. So we go over the line. Not an amazing lap, I have to say. It's not particularly great. A 37.3 it is the fastest lap of the race, but I think we should be in the 36s at that point with soft tyres, fresh soft tyres. But yeah, we managed to catch up to this group a little bit later on in the race, and they're all battling out for P4. This is interesting, as a Corvette sends himself to the shadow round there. Big F in the chat for that Corvette. He's out of this race pretty much there. And now we're going to follow behind the Alpha 4C. So we're going to get the slipstream from the Alpha 4C. Can we go for a move in the braking zone? He has got the slipstream, but the Beetle with 7th gear is actually pretty strong. I think he only just slightly had the slipstream, that Alpha. But we're going to brake nice and late. Beetle again, very good on the brakes. Hit the apex, rotate the car on the throttle, and we managed to get ourselves up into P5. So now can we work our way into P4? We can also see P2 and 3 is not that far in the distance. And also, we're actually starting to catch up to P1. So P1 obviously started on the soft tyre, is now on the medium tyres. And we are now obviously on the soft tyres, catching up to P1. So this is going to be a very interesting end of the race. You can see an enjoyable combination. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this week. I do love Fuji in Group 3. So yeah, hopefully we've got some pretty decent pace here. It does look like our pace is pretty solid this week. So hopefully we'll be able to have some really good fun races and maybe boost that DR a little bit up on our main account. So into the braking zone. Brake nice and late. Actually braked a little bit too late there, and that's going to be frustrating because that's going to lose us a slipstream to P4. See, as he comes out there, we've pretty much lost the slipstream, and yeah, just that little error on the brakes where we didn't brake early enough when in the slipstream. You need to bear that in mind. Into that corner, when you've got the slipstream, make sure you brake a little bit earlier because you will be caught out by that, especially when your tyres are starting to fade like ours are here. So now into the final corner, you can see we've got a 4 tenths gap to the driver in P6, Bobby in P6. So we need to try and get a good exit here to try and make sure that he can't go for a move into the braking zone, which it looks like he is not going to be able to do. He's 6 tenths behind. So fast forward the action down the main straight and then into the next braking zone. We can see that cars up ahead are battling it out, and that's good for us because maybe they'll lose a little bit of time. So through here, trying to keep it nice and smooth. And then we're going to go into the heavy braking zone again. You can see just about getting close to the slipstream. Not quite in it yet though, but we managed to just about get it in now, and we've just caught that slipstream. So on to the final 2 laps. We've got ourselves back into the slipstream of P4. So we're going to be able to battle this up, maybe fight for a podium. It's going to be very close if we can go for it. Although our tyres, remember, we pitted lap 5, so they are a little bit more worn than the cars up ahead. I think some of these cars in front of us pitted on lap 6, so they've got a lap fresher tyres. So into the braking zone, make sure we brake a little bit early. We've got the slipstream there, still struggling to slow it down there when we had the slipstream, but just about making it stop. And then following behind these Supras. Now Supra, I don't think the Supra is the best car for the race, have to be honest. I think the Supra, it's an alright car for the race, but I personally wouldn't be using this car for the race because of the tyre wear. I think there's better options out there like the Corvette, Viper, RCZ, Beetle, Porsche. You know, there's plenty of options, so maybe consider something different. But if you do like driving the Supra, you will be able to get pace out of it because it's a strong car over 1 lap, as P4 has a big moment there, and I noticed straight away that he's going to have dirty tyres. So we go for an extremely optimistic move here. So we know he's going to brake late. So I get myself positioned and I see that he brakes late. So what we do is we get on the throttle so early, look at flooring it in 1st and 2nd gear, and we just about come out ahead of him there. Made that work perfectly and just got our car just ahead of him and up into P4. But unfortunately, are we close enough to go for a move on P3? We can see we're not in the slipstream here. We really needed to have that slipstream to be able to fight for the podium maybe on the final lap. But let's see, can we get a nice solid exit from the final corner down to 2nd gear, try and get on the throttle as early as possible and power your way out. You can see we get a reasonable exit there. We've lost the slipstream from the car behind, so it looks like now we're fighting for P4, and you can actually see that we're very, very close to the win in this race. We're not far off. If we wouldn't have made a couple of the errors at the start of the race when we hit the Porsche, we could have been fighting for, I think we would have had definitely a P3 opportunity and possibly a P2. So yeah, it's going to be interesting as we go into the final corner. We can see that the lead, they're battling it out at the front there between P1 and P2, and it looks like the driver in P1 who started on the medium tyres has managed to get himself into the lead of the race. But considering we started in P17, we're not far off the win in this race. Actually driving pretty well. We've managed to catch up the slipstream to P3 also, and maybe be able to go for a podium position, although our tyres are really crying out right now. So into the braking zone, just trying to keep it smooth and hoping that P3 is going to make some form of a mistake, because it looks like we've got P4 covered. P5 seems to be dropping off a little bit as we're going down here. You can see the gap nearly at 1.5 seconds, but P1 and 2 battling up ahead. That's going to slow them down slightly, maybe. Under 3 seconds a gap to the leader. We take that corner very nice there, hitting the apex perfectly. Onto the apex, on the throttle nice and early, and we've got that slipstream to P3. However, the Beetle is not the fastest car on the straight, so it's going to be very difficult to try and outdrag him. We're really pushing because I wanted to put him under some pressure here to see if we can force him into a little mistake somewhere. But you can see he's driving very well there, and he's not going to buckle under the pressure, I don't think, as we come through to the final corner. Getting it down to second gear, onto the throttle as early as possible. Little bit of rear sideways there. He nearly lost control there, but he manages to save it, and we're going to power our way to the finish line. Yeah, and the Beetle just not enough grunt to really challenge for that podium position. But a good, fun race. Up to P4, enjoyable. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this week. So yeah, that is Daily Race C. Make sure you use both tyres as well, people. Don't forget, or you'll get that 1 minute penalty. So now we're going to go on to a strange race, to say the least. We have Daily Race A, and I did not expect this car. It's at Bathurst again. I know it's a track that's used a lot of the time. I do like the track. Now we are driving the Toyota Tundra, I think it's pronounced. Basically a pickup truck. Now, unfortunately, this is a 2-lap race. You know, these vehicles can do the track in 2 minutes 30, which makes this race just over 5 minutes long. Now, one thing that I don't understand with this, obviously it's a standing start, you see, is it's a 5-minute race, but there's a 20-minute interval in between races. Now, we get a better start than Ango, and we're right in the middle of 2 pickup trucks. I don't know how we're fitting in that gap. When you look at that, we're sandwiched right in between, and again, we're still sandwiched. We're trying to turn left there to give the car on the outside a bit of space, and now I think we might also be 4 wide going up the straight. But yeah, we're trying to push over to give the car on the outside a bit of space. He pushes us back. It's getting a little bit aggressive, but you know what? Let's be honest, this is a fun race. I just joined this race for a bit of entertainment, because if you're looking for a clean race, I wouldn't recommend joining this one, because this is going to be proper, you know, like touring car style, bumper, you know, contact. It's going to all be happening in this race. It's the type of race that's going to happen with these vehicles, but it's going to be fun. However, 2 laps, I don't know what PD were thinking. There is no reason that I can think of, as we see in the mirror, another car getting took out there, and as we come through here, just keep an eye on this. There's a little bit of contact between them, and as you get on the power, just look at this. This is what you're going to have to expect, but we see an opportunity, and we managed to get ourselves up to P3 already. So from last to P3. Yeah, there's going to be chaos everywhere, but yeah, I really don't understand why PD did not make this race at least 3 laps, because you've got a 20-minute gap between the races. This race takes just over 5 minutes. What reason is there to have not done 3 laps? I'm so baffled by the decision. Like, I cannot understand for any reason why this race couldn't have been at least 3 laps long to make it like a 7.5 to 8 minute race. I'm just confused beyond belief. Like, it's too short. 2 laps is far too short. It's probably the shortest race I think I've ever been involved with on any game. I don't think I've ever done a race this short before. It's a strange one. Will they? I mean, I feel like they should have made it at least 3 laps. But yeah, this is how it is. We're up to P3. It's a alright combination to drive. It's actually pretty fun. There's a lot of grip on this car because I say car, pickup truck I should say. So on this truck you've got a lot of grip because you're racing on the racing hard tyres, so you can actually take a lot of speed through the corners for a pickup truck. As we work our way up the hill, we've managed to pick up the slipstream to the lead battle here. They're fighting away up ahead. I don't think P2's quite got the pace to really challenge P1. I think he's just sitting in that slipstream. So we're going to try and get in the slipstream of P2, which we are in, and see if we can catch up maybe for a final corner battle. But it does look like it's going to be very difficult because he does have the slipstream to P1. So it's pretty much flat out the whole track also. You know, this is all flat out. The uphill section is all flat out. There's only a couple of corners where you just give it a little lift. The downhill section's a lot easier than you would actually think in this car because you've got racing hard tyres. So as you come through here, what I do is I get it over to the left, just lift off the throttle, a little bit of brake input, stay in 4th gear, down to 3rd gear as you hit that curb, and then just keep it in 3rd gear all the way through it. Don't go into 2nd, stay in 3rd gear. Just be careful you don't hit the walls because obviously the car's a lot wider than what you'd think. So just be careful you don't hit the walls. And yeah, it's actually pretty stable on the downhill section. As you can see, we've managed to catch up to P2. We've got the slipstream. We're going to follow through now all the way behind him. And one thing I've noticed is I think I should have revved 4th gear out a little bit more. So watch this. You can see I think I short shift 4th gear quite a bit too early. So I shift at the end of the rev range. I think I should have kept it revving because what I noticed was P2 actually started to pull away from us there and gain a little bit of time on me. So yeah, I think 4th gear you need to rev it out a little bit more than what I was doing here. But yeah, we're not really going to be able to challenge here into this corner anyway. So down to third gear. You can take, again, quite a lot of speed through. You can really use the curbs as well because this truck just bounces over them. And we get a reasonable exit from that final chicane there. And have a little look up the inside here. We're just going to try and kind of make him go in for a defensive move. But you can see, if they position their vehicle in the middle of the track, there's no way you can go because these vehicles are just so wide. So yeah, that is Daily Race 8. It's going to be a bit of a meme race. It's a bit fun. It's entertaining. We'll do a couple of them for a laugh, I think. But mainly Daily Race C is what I'll be driving this week. So now we're going to move on to Daily Race B, which again is a bit of a strange one. I don't think I've ever driven this combination in Group 4. Now, we had PG Motorsport in our race. And I decided to use a bit of magic because I didn't want to race him. So I wanted to send him to the shadow round before we even got into the lobby. So we just did a bit of magic. And as we go in there, it worked perfectly. However, we did take out half the lobby. And yeah, unfortunately to them other drivers, I'm sorry. I only meant to send PG Motorsport to the shadow round because I did not want to race that guy. But unfortunately, we sent half the lobby to the shadow round before the race even started. So, starting from P8, this is going to be one of them combinations. I'm not too sure about this. I feel like this is asking for trouble, this race, because Group 4 at this combination, you can see straight away, a little bit of defensive driving from the Alpha. It actually sent himself to the shadow round because he tried to defend a little bit too late there. We take 2 positions up into P6. So yeah, like I say, you're going to have a lot of optimistic moves. And to be honest, this track kind of invites optimistic moves because there's not many places you can go for an overtake. You know, you've got to take your opportunities to get past cars. It's a difficult one. It does look like the Alpha 4C is the OP car. I think we said that it would be the most powerful car around here. And the Megane's pretty solid though. The Megane seems pretty decent for the race as well. It drives really nice. So as we work our way down this straight, you can see the problem again that you've got is you're not going to be able to really go for much moves into the braking zone because you're not carrying enough speed to pick up a proper slipstream. But as we come through here, we've got 2 cars battling out in front of us, and we're just going to give it be very cautious through here. However, we get a very good exit here, and I decided we're going to send it up the inside, and that was my fault. Shouldn't really have sent that there. That was 100% on me. I just went a little bit too aggressive, but luckily P5 managed to keep it going, and he didn't lose too much time. So yeah, I decided to make sure that he got through there nice and smooth. Didn't go for a move on him at that point. And then we go to the straight. And however, coming out of here, he has a massive moment, and I just about managed to pick the right direction to go down the left-hand side. And we take that position up into P5. So into P5, we've got the slipstream of the Alpha 4C in front of us. And yeah, the race, it can be fun. I think you're going to have some fun races at this, but I think you're going to have a lot of very frustrating races also because it's Group 4. You're going to see probably quite a chaotic race. But coming through here, we can see that the Alpha 4C in front of us is not very... I mean, I think it's more the driver not really utilising the car that well, but it seems quite slow through here. The Megane seems a lot easier to drive. So if you are struggling with the Alpha 4C, trust me, drive the Megane. It's a lot easier to drive, and you'll probably do better because... yeah, the Alpha 4C is one of them cars that takes a bit of getting used to. But as we come through there, we get a massive pump from the driver behind. And thankfully, he does wait for us. So credit to that driver. I think he just misjudged his braking. And he waited for us there on the straight. And also, he then gives us a bump draft down the straight. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to challenge in this race for a podium. That was pretty much our race over. He gives us a little flash to say sorry, which is what, you know, that's great. You know, he admitted his mistake. And he gave us a little bump draft there. So... no harm done. We're just going to carry on and see if we can catch up to any of the cars in front of us. We're in P6. I think one car actually ended up taking himself out the race as we come onto the final lap. We managed to have 2 clean laps and we did a fastest lap of the race there actually. So yeah, I think one car just took himself out the race, just drove straight on or something like that. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I know we gained a position without even seeing a car. So it's possible he rage quit or something. Who knows? But now we're up to P5 on the final lap. We're not quite close. We managed to catch this guy back up in the Audi TT, but like I say, it's one thing catching an Audi TT up in a Megane. It's a totally different thing trying to pass an Audi TT in the Megane. You can see we've got a lot more cornering grip, and we're going to have a lot more maybe ability to take the apex compared to the Audi TT. As you see coming through here, we're able to keep a much tighter line. However, as soon as the Audi TT gets in the power, there's just nothing you can do. In the Megane, you can see we can't compete with the straight line speed, so we go over the line, finish in P5, But, you know, we managed to get rid of half the lobby, so it's not too bad a result. But, yeah, you're going to have some fun races there this week, but I also think you're going to have some very frustrating races. So, yeah, that is this week's Daily Race. Let me know in the comments what you think about these races. I'm going to be doing Daily Race C. Hope to see you on there. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I'll see you all soon for more streams and videos. Thanks again for watching, everyone.